How many amazing stories are happening around us. They say that for any girl, the moment when she walks to the altar, arm in arm with her father, and peers into the eyes of her groom, is probably the most touching in her life. After all, it is the moment where a new chapter of family life begins, and this is exactly how it was for the heroine of our story, for whom this day became not just special but most special in her life. It is worth mentioning that dozens of people were speechless when they saw this picture at the wedding. But first things first. Meet Janie Miles, a 25-year-old young woman from Georgia. Looking ahead, I say that her life wasn't easy. She has come a long way from a girl who loves an active lifestyle to a teenager confined to a wheelchair. A beauty, athlete, and activist who always rushed towards adventure and adored sports. Once working out in the gym, she received a serious spinal injury and at the age of 17 became paralyzed to the waist. Doctors made a terrible diagnosis. Janie will never be able to walk and will spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair. The girl refused to believe that this was happening to her, and for about 6 months she was depressed. She didn't want to communicate with anyone and do anything. The days dragged on slowly, and it seemed that a miracle would never happen. But once, one meeting changed her whole life. Janie was taking a wheelchair ride in the park when suddenly a young man approached her and offered to take a walk. The girl was taken aback by such a proposal, but soon she agreed. And looking ahead, I will say that Andrew, and that was the guy's name, fell in love with Jackie at first sight. After a year of romantic meetings, the man proposed, and of course Janie said yes. It is worth saying that after meeting her future husband, Janie was motivated not only to get up, but to walk to the altar by herself and even dance at her wedding. And this is all despite the fact that doctors assured that this was simply impossible. The girl decided to act. She stubbornly refused to get stuck in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Of course, she understood that a difficult path awaited her, but Janie was ready to work hard. For hours, she worked out in the gym, strengthening the muscles of the central part of the body. Jackie had a strong desire to approach the groom at the ceremony on her feet. And when that long-awaited and exciting day came, none of all people at the wedding could even imagine what would happen next. When Janie entered the hall accompanied by her mother and grandfather, none of the guests was surprised, but when the wheelchair stopped halfway to the altar and the girl began to stand on her own feet, everyone was amazed. In just a second, the hall became very quiet. Everyone was watching what was happening with their mouth open, and the next moment, Janie was able to leave the wheelchair and slowly went to her fiancé. Nobody knew that the girl was preparing such a surprise. Even Andrew was not aware. And when he saw what was happening, he couldn't hold back his tears and cried in front of the guests. To be honest, not only the groom but also all the guests cried at the wedding. It was such a touching moment. Janie was able to stand on her feet for 45 minutes, and after that she even danced the wedding dance. But the girl did not stop there and spent most of the evening on her feet. Nobody believed in what was happening that evening. I did it not only for myself, but also for the sake of my beloved man. If not for Andrew, none of this would have happened, because he was the biggest motivation for me, said Janie. That day in the park, Andrew approached the girl and thereby changed her whole life. And Janie proved to everyone that you should never give up in despair. Janie is planning to continue training and hopes to fully return to normal, fulfilling life. No doubt, this girl deserves great respect for her willpower and character. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you have your own interesting and life stories, send us an email. We will definitely tell them. See you soon, guys. Stay tuned.